I'm going to sneeze so hard. I was about to say, let's start. And then I was like, no, I'm going to sneeze instead.
Okay, who's reading this next one?
I think it's Eddie.
It's Eddie? Wow.
It's Eddie. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, you tell me.
I, for some reason, was expecting you to say, are you ready,
Count me
Eddie?
down from 3. Are you ready, Eddie?
Yeah.
Are you talking into your Yeti?
Yeah.
In a way that makes
Eddie
you sound ready?
is ready
Eddie,
and talking
Eddie?
into his Eddie. His Yeti.
There's no reason to fretty, Eddie.
Okay.
All right, let's go. We have fun here. All right.
The gang.
All right, count me down.
Oh my God. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't include me counting like that, please, Miranda.
It's too late. It's in forever. I'm going to make a soundboard entry for it. It's so good.
In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks. These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
The gang morphs into seagulls and flies to the gardens. Tobias flies along as a red-tailed hawk. Upon arriving, Marco swoops down with Jake towards a wooden roller coaster, and the two ride it together as seagulls. They go down a hill, up another, and then use the momentum to launch themselves as if from a cannon. Jake tells Marco that he's nuts, but even he agrees that was a lot of fun. Marco's suddenly thoughtful, though. We're still our old selves, right? He asks Jake. We haven't changed. Sure, Marco, Jake says. But Marco is serious. He says that he means it. No matter what happens to them, they'll still be the same people, right? Jake admits that he doesn't know. He's not a philosopher. Marco says that he will always be himself, no matter how many morphs, no matter how many battles. Everyone better accept that Marco will always be Marco. Jake jokes that if it makes Marco feel any better, he will always be a punk to him. And then they go help Tobias acquire a dolphin morph. I had a brief moment where I was like, nothing happens in this chapter. They just ride a roller coaster. And then I was like, oh, a lot happens in this chapter. So.
Yeah. Bird racism is still alive and well.
Yeah.
Yes, right at the beginning of the chapter, we get some hawk elitism as they're flying to the Gordons. The Gordons. The roller coaster was actually a lot of fun. I thought actually strangely vivid. Like for a physical description of events where because they jump onto the front of it while people are riding it and the kids in the front row are like, hey, birdie, go away. And then they like cling to it and ride it. Like, it's pretty awesome.
I don't think that it's actually kind of incredible reading a series like this and this quickly. Not that anyone would describe this as quick, but being able to compare where they were in book 1 to now, having to write books like this has absolutely improved them as writers, I think. I think it's actually a great craft exercise to see that they actually are better at especially when things are happening in space and time. It's so much more clear in these books.
It's incredible. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I also really like this because There, I forget exactly when it was, but I think it was like book 3 where we posited that because Tobias says something like roller coasters aren't even exciting anymore.
He does, yeah.
And we were like that, that red-tailed hawk's just like riding the roller coaster when they run it for a test run every morning.
Yeah, because he was like, what can I do as a hawk? What's good? I guess I could get into the gardens for free.
Was that Megamorphs? It wasn't
so
book
funny.
3. I think it was either Megamorphs or it had to be book 13 if not.
I don't know. Rosray, CJ, keep us honest.
Yeah.
Like I forget Alex.
Yeah.
all of our super fans, Richard.
Yeah.
Somebody please tell us it's been 2 years
We do
and
have
60
Anna
sessions
data.
and countless episodes.
Yeah, but so I like this, that as pointless as it feels that Tobias needs to go acquire a dolphin morph on screen in a pretty medieval fashion, as we'll see soon.
In the next chapter,
Yeah,
right?
we do get this really nice moment between Marco and Jake. And I guess we should also note that Jake does have fun. People say Jake that has no fun. I like Jake this book.
know.
I think I do just like Jake as a character now. I think he's a good friend.
Yeah.
I think he's a good leader. I'm sold on Jake.
I kind of think he's a cop, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm just joshing. I'm just...
Book 3, chapter 14. I could bust right into the gardens anytime I
Oh,
wanted.
it is book 3.
Come to
Wow.
think of it, I could also watch any football or baseball game I ever wanted to see too, as long as it was outdoors. And concerts. Whoa.
It is book 3. Wow. Miranda,
I
I thought you
nailed
were
it.
cutting us
I
short and
nailed
you were
it.
like, book 15, chapter 11. Like, you were like not feeling the conversation.
Oh my God.
No,
Oh my
I was just doing a little digging.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I also want to hit like this back and forth between Jake and Tobias, where like Tobias is, or not, I'm sorry, Jake and Marco, where Marco is like, but we haven't changed, right? Like, I think that hits the note of devastation so well, like
Yeah.
eerily well, like as well as most anything I've ever seen on TV, as well. It just hits the like thing that really pulls at your heartstrings where somebody needs something that might be beyond what anyone can give.
Yeah.
And it's illustrated really powerfully.
Well,
here.
because I feel like
Should we do a dramatic reading of it?
I was thinking that too, but just really quick, like
Okay.
the idea that Marco hasn't changed is, and I say this while feeling very, very like knowing this is like a 12-year-old and he needs to believe that in this moment, maybe. But the idea that they haven't changed is wild, right? Like
Yeah.
they
No, but we're 30.
No,
Like,
I know.
we're
I'm
33.
saying
Not
that.
yet.
Like, yeah.
I'm just
Not yet.
I'm trying to identify where we're like, okay, so here's a good question. So the target audience of this, would they read that and think, of course Marco's changed? Like, we think that. And I think that is also being written from where we're seated.
Yeah, that's a good question. And maybe I'm like confusing the issue, and I don't mean to add new information unnecessarily, but like I feel like it's such a big question of, you know, like in the earlier books when we were like locked into the morphing and we were locked into the gender identity and we didn't know so much about the broader lore, which all of that still applies, we would spend a lot of extra time talking about like the puberty narratives and the physicality of it and stuff like that. And it's like,
but all very relevant still, I think.
it's still incredibly relevant and still like a total part of it. What's interesting to me is like when so much is changing at that age, be it puberty, be it your friends, be it everything about how you're interacting, be it responsibilities, expectations, suddenly, like very suddenly you can end up in over your head and you still want to like feel like you're yourself though. And I feel like that's the like, it's like the thing that's so artful about this moment with Marco is like they've made this character who's utterly lovable and he's asking a question we all ask, which is like, are we being irrevocably changed here? And yet when you look at what has happened to Marco, it's like 3 layers more intense than anything that I experienced. I know there's people who've gone through hard things. I'm not saying that. I just mean like, it does that beautiful thing of being like hyperbolic and essential at the same time. Like, I just was really overwhelmed when I read it. And this was the chapter where I was like tearing up and I was like, oh, Marco, bud, I want to help. I want to help so bad.
I also felt like he was saying a lot of this was also coming from a place of wanting his mom not to have changed. So I think there's more than one thing going on here where he wants assurance from Jake.
Oh, right, because it's like if we went through all this and we didn't change, maybe my mom went
is
through
still
all this
in there.
and I'll get my mom back.
Yeah, and especially with Jake, who himself has been yerked. Like, in addition to all the morphing stuff that Marco has done, like, Jake's been yerked, and it's like, but we're still us. We're still us. We're still in here. even all the things we do, even if little things change, like it's still us in here. And I felt like it was so clear to me as a reader that he was trying to get Jake to say, yes, I think your mom is still in there, but he couldn't ask that question. And so it was so frustrating to have Jake sort of brushing this off as Marco being like silly. And I was like, no, he's asking for help, actually, in the clearest way that he has yet in this book, but he still can't bring himself to say the thing he's scared of thinking in words. Yeah. So, like, to me, this was about his mom, but I do think you're right that at that age, I mean, I'm a person who has always felt like I've been, like, the same person my whole life, and then I look back and I'm like, I guess I did change a lot, but, like, at my core, I don't feel like I went through these big, huge shifts. It's like when you're there the whole time, you don't feel like you changed. And so maybe that's what Marco's saying. But I really think, like, when he says, no matter how many morphs, no matter how many battles, no matter what, I'll still be me. Everyone better accept that. And we're still just us. Nothing that happens can really change what you are, right? Like, that is, like... That's what made it so mom-coded for me.
Yes, and that makes sense. But I guess the one thing I want to add to that, just to clarify my point, my initial point, is like, it's not about the fact that we can look back now and realize how we're ourselves. It's that I genuinely had moments in my life where I was like, confused about the uncertainty that was ahead of me. And I feel like one of my clearest concerns, and maybe this is like an OCD thing or an intrusive thought thing, but it's like I'm about to do something that pushes so far beyond my self-identity that I'm like, what will I be on the other end of this? Is like, and maybe that's like a weird fixation for me. That could be very personal to me and not like universal, but there was something about like it reminds me of something our grandmother said of like that got quoted at the memorial, where it's like, you'd be surprised like how much you can handle. And it's like that. It's like when an old person says that and sends it back to you, you get to take it forward. But there's a moment where you're like, I have no idea how much I can handle.
Yeah.
And I want to be me. I just want to be me. I want people to accept what I can handle and how much I can handle.
Yeah. I also just, Miranda, to follow up on the thing that you're saying. So if he's talking about his mom, what I hear in that imagining this kid is like, he thinks that he's lost his mom before he knows that she's Visser 1. And then he finds out she's still there in some way. Like, physically she's still there, and deep in her mind she's still there, but she's been taken over by this Yeerk. And I feel like what a 12-year-old would be asking, like, if my mom is still in there, am I going to get her back in some way that's still, like, recognizable to me, and still as someone who loves me? Does my mom still, while she's deep down in there, is she still thinking of me? Is she still my mom? Right. And I feel like that's really resonant, given what happens at the end of this book, where Marco is so tempted to try to make contact with his mom. And
he's more responsible than any other Animorph. Finish this sentence.
Yeah. Well, also, and that he has to sacrifice something huge, which is basically giving his mom confirmation that he's okay.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
yes. Which is so brutal. Yeah. It hurts so much. And I wish I hadn't read it at 7:30 a.m. this morning. Because I read it and I was like, yo, I can't let this fuck my entire day. And yet it did.
Yeah.
I also want to say how progressive that they let Jake stay Yeerked. I just thought that was incredible.
Stop.
You know?
All right.
He was like, I like it this way. I feel closer to Tom.
Chapter 7.
All right.
Chapter 6.
No, chapter 7.
Wow, how did I get so far back in the book?
How exactly is Tobias going to acquire a dolphin morph as a red-tailed hawk? By diving at a dolphin as it jumps out of the water during a performance in front of a live audience, of course. Tobias sinks his talons into the dolphin to acquire the morph, Only then his talons...
Did yourself, Ed?
Only then his talons get stuck and he gets yanked underwater. He can't free himself and, for some reason, acquiring the morph isn't putting this dolphin into a trance. They don't really explain it. Tobias' thought speaks that he is going to drown if they don't do something. Marco, still a seagull, says that he'll help. He tries to predict where the dolphin will surface next, given that the dolphin should be about to jump through a hoop over the water as its next trick. A hoop through which the dolphin will certainly fit, but the hawk on the dolphin's back will not. Marco times the dive perfectly, knocking Tobias free from the dolphin. Mission accomplished. Time to investigate this underwater base. Gamers never look up.
Yeah, this is
so true.
It's also planting a seed. This is not the first.
Yeah.
This is not the only gamers never look up moment that we will get
True.
this book.
That's right. There's so many Chekhov's Johns. And yes, I am a very literary person. Eddie, I'm very literary. I read books.
Also, the fact that rereading it, I also realized that the fact that not in a pretty significant way, the fact that the dolphin does not go into a trance will create tension later when
Yes.
And I don't know why it's in there. I think it's in there
just
for
to be
this.
Scary.
Yeah. But this is up there. The fact that this manages to be such a small chapter, I feel like in my remembering of the book at least, and yet it's kind of the Seabiscuit chapter of this book. Like where it's
like, if by Seabiscuit you mean when we went to the races in the last book.
Yeah. It's the only reference to horse racing
Max,
I hold
what was
in
it?
my mind.
Minneapolis Max.
Yeah.
But this is wacky, and Cassie gets convinced to let Tobias hurt this dolphin so quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Can we talk about one thing that I'm devastated about?
Sure.
So we had an erasure earlier in this book that we didn't talk about. And Eric King was being summarized by Marco as a Chi. They explained the Pimalites, and they explained that they were on the run for their lives, for the safety of their species to some planet, and they end up on Earth. In the original book where that happens, book 10, we get a description, a single line just naming of that, and it's the Howlers.
Yes.
We say they were being hounded by the Howlers, and they had to run through
just
space.
Evil. They're just evil for evil's sake.
Just evil for evil's sake. Hounded by the Howlers down to have a quibble at the quarry with the quandary but the whole point is like that we walked that back. And that makes sense.
It just didn't get mentioned. It just didn't get mentioned.
Right. But it makes sense for KA. It's like, okay, we're introducing a new species. It's as big and powerful as the Borg. We don't know how to deal with this, and we're not gonna introduce
the Howlers. You mean? Yeah.
We're not gonna put a hat on a Howler. We're not gonna put a hat on a hat on a Howler.
So you don't think Howlers are coming back again? No, probably
if they don't come back in this book and Eric King comes back, I'm suspicious. I'm a little worried. Now here's where
I think they're the big bad in the series.
But I'm actually, I really hope so. But I'm building towards a point.
Yeah.
And my point that I'm building towards is,
where is Eileen?
Where, K.A. Applegate? Why are you afraid of Eileen, the minor human?
Where is she?
Power. Why have you elevated her to something as large as the Howlers, who have chased the Chi through time and memoriam, through every little corner of the universe?
That's true.
I think now this is a very liberal reading of the text. I'll admit that. But where the fuck is Eileen?
She wasn't working that day.
Big time.
It's not
Where
that
is
deep.
Eileen? And also, Eddie, I am so proud of you for stomping on my punchline like that. Holy Jesus shit, that was incredible.
I was like, there's no way this is actually where Chris is going with this.
Chris's first note is, why no Eileen? How could you not think that's where they were going with it?
I did not read the notes this time.
No, but that's even more impressive. You actually intuited my whole vibe, and you sussed out the literary meat from my story.
Yeah.
I knew where you were going. but I wasn't going to cut you off.
I'm glad you cut it off because I feel it.
You picked
deep
a good
in my
time
being
too.
Right now.
Yeah, you picked a good time.
Good.
It went well.
Yeah, and then I just sideswiped.
Oh, I was literally about to say the word
I know.
Eileen, and Eddie said it. Like it was incredible.
I was kind of like Marco intercepting Tobias here.
Yes,
exactly. You knocked
you
Chris out of the dolphin. That was that bit.
Yeah. I think at this point we actually could
That is the title of the episode. Knocked. Well, I don't know if you want to put my name in it, but knocked Tobias, like knocked. That's really good.
I kind of feel like we covered this chapter.
Yeah, I think it's done.
I do too. Yeah, basically, like Tobias freaking
he got his
hooks
morph
into a dolphin, and Marco tries to save him and almost breaks his little bird bones, and it's just a little weird comical
He does
thing.
break his bird bones, actually. Tobias says, thanks, next time find a way to save me that doesn't involve breaking any bones.
No, for reasons that will become clear, can I do chapter 8 and you take chapter 9?
Yes, yeah, totally. Okay.
Chapter 8. The gang flies out to Royan Island. Cassie assures everyone that the dolphin Tobias acquired will be okay. His talons only left superficial wounds in the creature, all easily treatable. This just makes Cassie sound psychotic to me, personally. Tobias complains that anyone is concerned about the dolphin when he almost drowned. Marco teases him about the incident, enjoying that Tobias's bad mood is distracting him from his own unease about the fact that he is approaching his own yerk-infested mother. The gang arrives at the island. They demorph while Tobias goes to scout the area. He confirms that guards are everywhere. Axe morphs into a shark while the others morph into dolphins. Marco admits that being so close to a shark is unsettling, even if he knows it's Axe. After all, a shark once almost cut Marco into two.
Yep. This is the thing that makes me want to go back and read through when Marco is like, I'm kind of glad Tobias is in a bad mood. And he says, if I could keep busy teasing Tobias, I didn't have to think about the fact I was flying closer to where my mother was. And I'm like, I want to go back and look at the times that Marco teases Tobias and see if there's like...
Especially in book 13, right?
Yeah, if there's like evidence of it being high stress moments for Marco, where it's like Marco teases Tobias when he needs someone else to also not feel good.
Someday we're going to get to that, like, you know, I don't know, postmodern level. I know there will be another Megamorphs, but Megamorphs was kind of like a crazy romp through the different things. Yeah. But like, I would love for an entire book that's overlapped with part of another book. I know we're not going to get it, but like, wow. Like if I could, if Marco had like talked about a scene from book 13.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know what was happening for him.
Yeah.
You know, in a big way. Yeah.
Yeah. We get a lot of lore about Roy. I mean, not a lot, but getting any lore like this is more than we usually get at all in other books. So the fact
Royan Island
the
here,
history of the island.
This is about as much information as you get about most locations in a Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah.
We don't even know what they're building in the construction site that they walk through. Oh no, we do. It was a mall that they were going to build.
I thought it was like apartments.
Maybe. Yeah. What if they were building the mega mall? What if that mega mall has this massive hole in the middle that leads down to a yerk pool, and they're just chucking people into them?
I mean, we do know. We do know. No, we don't. Sorry, continue.
It was like a housing development or something, I thought. It doesn't matter. We get the phrase dolphin rodeo a couple of times here. It's pretty good.
Yo, I can't believe that didn't make it in my notes. This ain't my first dolphin rodeo, and yet I didn't put it in. That's insane. Oh, I'm such an asshole.
And I felt like combined with like last books, you know, wanting to rig the races, and now he wants to create a new dolphin show.
Rodeo.
A dolphin rodeo.
Why are they into this farm show shit?
I know.
They're deep in it. Jesus.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
And then, for no reason, we get a description of the mansion and the fact that there are armed guards at the mansion. And Rachel's like, so that's Mr. Royan's house? And it's like, no, Royan was a bootlegger back in the 1920s. Now it's owned by the Marquez family, whoever that is.
Who won this contest? Which area?
Mimi Marquez, clad only in bubble wrap, will perform her famous
lawn chair
handcuff dance to the sounds of iced tea being stirred.
What is that?
Rent.
It's Rent.
Oh, okay. Miranda, it is a Hitman level. You're right. Why, if this island is 20 miles out from the shore, why do they need to hire so many guards? Like, we're led to believe no one is on
the thing. Like, I think the implication is that it's a drug thing.
You think? Really?
I do.
Yo, dude, no, that's the coded that it felt, right? Because it's like, why would you need this level of secrecy for? It's 90s. It's the war on drugs era. There's a reason why Miranda thinks that.
What is a cigarette boat?
Yo, I forgot to Google it. Let's look.
Because they say there's a bloated motor yacht and there's a sleek, fast cigarette boat behind
Discover cigarette racing luxury performance boats.
Okay, so
you know what? These are the boats from Vice City.
Oh my God!
I thought Miami
GTA
Vice, which
Island.
is the same thing.
These are Vice City boats.
So it's a drug running boat.
This is literally the fucking. This is the boat from Vice City.
Wait. There's a Wikipedia article. Okay. When you search cigarette boat on Wikipedia, it redirects to a Wikipedia page for the Go Fast boat.
The Go Fast boat?
I'm not kidding.
No, I have it. I have it in front of me. It's
Go
a preferred
Fast
boat for smugglers.
Oh my God, does it say that?
It literally says that in the caption under the first picture. It says, a Go Fast boat is a preferred boat for smugglers.
No, and it goes on. During the United States alcohol prohibition era, these boats were used in rum running, transferring illegal liquor from larger vessels waiting outside U.S. territorial waters to the mainland. Their high speed enabled them to avoid interception by the law enforcement. Why include this?
So it was originally a bootlegger's island, and now it's still a bootlegger's island.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And then there's freaking. This is insane, and it's such an amazing detail. She must have just seen Ken Burton smuggling on PBS.
Or watched
whoever the
Marquez
family is, and it's like
I'll say like that's.
I wondered why they named it the family that owns it now, and now it feels very pointed. Like there's some
a little bit.
The evocations here are
feels
I think it's problematic in that way. But I also want to say, like, this is not the first instance of a locomotive device being enhanced by smuggling as an activity, because, like, my understanding is that's where NASCAR comes from.
Yes, that is true.
Is that it's actually souped up cars that were supposed to outrun police vehicles.
No way.
And it became a racing circuit. Yeah. Like 100%. Like, I'm not making that up.
Nope,
that's
true.
Something I've seen on the History Channel. So if it's not real, just like how aliens built the pyramids, I don't know.
They're batteries.
You know what? If you can't get on board with that, we're just going to have to vote you off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that reference now. Well, holy geez, what a fucking lesson in bootlegging history from K.A. fucking Applegate. Maybe that's where these books got maybe that's where Scholastic got their start, was rum money.
Smuggling books.
Rum running.
Really quickly, we get a no-force moment.
Boat?
I called it an all-force moment, but...
A no-force.
It's a no-force.
Yes, which is what we called it in book 4.
Yeah, which we haven't had in a while, I don't think.
No.
Yeah?
I do want to say...
I can tell Eddie's not watching our feed. It's amazing.
I do want to say, Marco tries to say, good grief, I'm a mermaid, while he's morphing into a dolphin, and he says, bloop, bleep, bloim, blomblay. And I really want to know why half dolphin means you talk like a robot.
I think it's the bubbles coming out of his mouth. I think that's what she was going for.
Okay.
Incidentally, I actually missed this way back when, but there is a moment in this book where Marco is like singing the Mission Impossible theme.
Yeah.
And
it's early on. It's in the first.
And if you count them, it's correct.
Oh,
it's 100%. It's 100% correct. And then it goes da-na-na, da-na, dee-dee-dee, dee-dee-dee, da-da. And it's all correct.
It's so funny you're saying that because I could hear it in my mind, and then I read what Marco said, and I was like, this is completely wrong. So it didn't work for me, but I believe
For me,
that it is
I would
correct.
say in my soul, it's a bump, not a
Yes.
not a da-da,
Yes.
or a dun maybe, but
Yes.
not a da-da.
But also times have changed. This is 30 years ago.
That's true.
Yeah, when it said dun, 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 I just heard that as the same sound over and over again, rather than like...
They were coupled in mine.
No, yeah, it's da. It's groups of two.
Da. It's long, short, long,
It wasn't
short,
for me. It wasn't for me.
All right, that's fair. I will say this is good, amazing audio.
Dog of wisdom.
Dog of wisdom.
What is your wisdom? He made another one like 10 years later. No, this is a weird internet. It's not that weird. I'll show you later.
It's so good. You're going to love it.
Chris, I want to hit your point that dolphins are smooth and good, and sharks are made out of infinite triangles.
Yes,
And teeth.
I don't know why we get
pointy.
these two descriptions.
But that
we
is
get,
that tracks with the
But again,
series so
round,
far.
good, pointy, bad.
Yes. Yeah.
And just to give it a little bit more context, like Eddie's talking about when we do the dolphin morph, which we're about to do because Marco sings aloud, "Let's get fishical."
He does do that.
Fishical, which is, while it's taxonomically incorrect, is very, very, very funny, Marco.
It's quite
we
funny.
love that joke. But the point is, like,
He needs a
morphing
lot of
dolphins.
positive affirmation, so I'm glad you said that, Chris.
Yes.
Our son!
Our son Marco, who art in heaven.
Rachel makes fun of him for knowing the song, and Marco responds, "You knew it was by Olivia Newton-John, so like, get fucked."
Actually, props to Marco for just digging himself in deeper on that. But
One of my favorite
celebrate.
band names I've ever heard. I don't know. They weren't from Philly. I think they toured here a lot, and I think I saw them once. But it was Olivia Neutron Bomb.
Nice.
And I was like, that's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, point is, they're about to turn into dolphins, and dolphins are smooth and good and have this like smooth like skin that's efficient in the water. And like in a chapter way later, we're going to morph a shark, and we're going to learn something about 3D graphics because sharks are made out of polygons. They're made out of 3 points, making a triangle, and those triangles, like their teeth and their skin
Is teeth.
Like, here's the thing, right? It's teeth. That's exactly right. We're talking about sandpaper. We're talking about grit. We're talking about circles being the pointiest objects of all, because at some point you're so pointy, you're smooth. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you haven't been listening to this podcast. And I just am going to need you to check in with yourself and talk about when pointy feels smooth, because I think that's like when people hate feeling velour. That's what they hate. Some people feel velour and they're like, oh, it's smooth. It's nice. It's velvety. It's nice. Some people feel it and it's like a million needles.
Okay.
All right, on to chapter 8.
I just feel like I heard like
Chapter 9.
a relative go on a political rant, and I don't understand it. That's what.
Yeah, I got a little unhinged there. I'm not gonna lie. That was a little far for me even. Are we going to chapter 9? This is the one I read, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. Here we go. Dolphin time! Marco, Cassie, Rachel, Jake, and even Tobias are having the time of their lives playing around as dolphins. Nothing can bring them down. Not Jake going into full dad mode. Enough fun, guys. Come on. Or that ominous shark hanging out off to the side, just lurking, watching, waiting. Oh, wait. That's just Axe. Whew. Back to fun, back to zooming. No sharks here, no thank you, no siree. Eddie, this is amazing, and you were so right. I wanted to read this with all my heart. No siree. Ha-ha! Yeah, wee! Marco races around the island, fires off a burst of echolocation to make sense of his surroundings, and, whoa, guys. I know we were just having fun, but that was a little strange. An unexpected picture returns to him. Somewhere out there in the sea appears to be this huge, strange thing composed of hard surfaces and sharp edges. The others confirm that they are sensing the same thing, and we suddenly get very serious and severe. They decide to go investigate. This must be what Eric was talking about, Marco thinks. And if this part of what he said is correct, then maybe the rest of his story is. Maybe his mom is down there. You can't see it on the podcast, but my hand is doing some kind of weird upwards fluttering point. But they swim deeper, and there's seemingly nothing there. Marco fires another burst of echolocation. It's a hologram, just like Eric the Chi uses to conceal himself. Axe says that a hologram big enough to conceal whatever they're sensing would require the energy of an entire dome ship. They swim even deeper, and suddenly everything changes. There it is. 200 feet underwater was...
You okay?
I'm okay. 200 feet underwater was that secret year space. 200 feet underwater was the secret Yerk base, a massive pink structure built into pink. I forgot that. Built into an underwater slope. Through the windows, the gang can see human controllers and Hork Bashir working in harmony in an office like setting. I'm so sorry, you guys, but this chapter is that ridiculous. And I can't help myself. All right, Marco needs to surface for Eric because he's a fucking dolphin. The others follow except for Axe, who can breathe underwater because he's a fucking shark. They discuss what they found through Thoughtspeak, wondering if they should explore it further, when all of a sudden, Axe warns them that other creatures are approaching them. He describes what he sees, and Marco knows all too well what Axe is describing. A hammerhead. Sharks.
Not one. It sounded like it was a singular shark, but it's actually
no, but it's multiple sharks. I do want to one quibble. There was one mistake.
Yeah. The quabble and the quarry.
It's Axe says that if the hologram were a force field, it would require,
which is actually
a dome
another
ship's,
Chekhov's
a dome
detail.
Ship's worth of energy, because they're like, oh, they're doing the same thing that Eric does. It's a hologram, but would we be able to go through it? And Axe is like, we probably would, because like it would take a lot of energy just to make a force field, or just to make a hologram that big, and it would take like a dome ship's worth of energy to make a force field hologram that big. Mm-hmm. So that's
and
why.
And this is what was foreshadowed by Eric so long ago.
It's true.
We're getting there, you guys. We're checking all our boxes. I know it's been 2 hours for you listeners. What?
We're checking them off.
We're dotting the I's. We're crossing the T's. We're checking.
Check.
We're
checking them off with a V. Like check off. There you go.
Oh my God, dude. I'm so glad you explained that to me. I'm so glad.
Jokes are always funnier when you have to explain them.
Do you both feel like we're hurtling towards another rendition of And the Light? Was that the episode? Like, I feel like the energy is there.
Are you saying I'm drunk? Is that what
you're saying? One thing I want to hit that happens early in this chapter is Marco's shark moment, which like gives me very extreme like SA Survivor vibes. He says, get over it, I told myself. He's Axe, not a real shark. Forget sharks. Put sharks out of your mind. And it's like, to me, for me, like as you know, I mean, it's not that controversial to say that most sexual assaults, at least that are reported, are perpetrated by men. And so it's like when that happens and then suddenly being around men, even men that you know and love and like are, you know, it's like you have to be like, no, you almost have to like try to stop thinking of them as a man because a man is the thing that hurt you. And it just like, I don't know, that hit me like really hard when he had that thought. It was like a gut punch for me.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really remarkable parallel. And it is like extremely disturbing And like, it's really well illustrated in his like self-reporting. Like, it's remarkable in the book. Like, I really don't think it's a stretch, because it is just like, there's text on the page that is him reminding himself.
And they do mention that, like,
himself.
dolphins are naturally sort of afraid of sharks. So, like, he is also fighting the battle sort of on two levels, with his personal fear of having trauma associated with a shark attacking him when he was previously a dolphin, and also with dolphins just naturally responding sort of negatively to sharks.
Yeah, it just underlines how strong everything that they do with sharks and Marco re-encountering sharks. It just is like so, every stage of it makes so much sense of it, given what's happened to him in an earlier book. And I just feel like
I certainly never thought the trauma of it was going to come up this specifically.
No, same.
Yeah. It's just like, we talked about this, I think, in either last book or book 13, but just feels like they're paying so close of attention to.
Yeah.
And yet, where the fuck's Eileen?
All the more reason why we're confused Eileen was missing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe she was promoted to senior dolphin trainer and she's somewhere else overseeing.
But what if she was demoted and now she's a mini minor human?
I think, Chris, and I'm not saying that you weren't paying attention when you were reading this book, but I thought it was pretty heavily hinted that Eileen moved on and she's now a major human. She's no longer a minor human. No longer minor.
But then why aren't we hearing
so
about
hard
her
right now? Yeah, you're fucking with me so hard.
Yeah,
I reread those chapters, the chapters before and after.
Where is she?
Multiple times. Where is she?
Went
Is it
through
in
with
the
a pencil,
capitalization of the letters? Is it just that?
the first letter of the next 10 sentences start with Eileen?
Why is Chris reading with a magnifying glass
Eileen
in my
has 6
imagination?
I do. I have one right here. I just pulled it out.
Where is she?
Where is she?
Is she hiding on the page?
That's actually pretty incredible.
We can see a pretty cool reflection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but Miranda, just to go back to what you're saying, it's just like, it's interesting that it's there even on that level that Marco's reminding himself that that's not a real shark, that's acts. And then when they actually encounter the sharks at the end of the chapter, it's just, you're completely primed for it. So,
yeah.
Then shall we away?
Shall we? Chapter 10?
Chapter 10. I guess
it's going to get dark before it gets light. I don't know that there's much light at the end of this tunnel for the rest of this section.
I don't remember how this actually shows up on the page, but I feel like it also, there's just this Marco thinking through, like, well, if there's actually a base here, then maybe my mom is actually here too. The way that it feels like you just get closer and closer to seeing her again, I also thought was just great in this book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Miranda, I think it's you.
Chapter 10. The hammerhead sharks approach the Animorphs. At first, they count 10 of them. "We can take them," Rachel exclaims. But the others are less confident. Cassie wonders if maybe the sharks will just leave them alone. After all, sharks rarely hunt dolphins. But the sharks continue to approach. Marco is scared. He remembers the searing pain of being torn in two as a dolphin, the bottom half of his body hanging on by threads of guts and flesh. Jake calls for a retreat, and Marco turns around to swim in the other direction. But there are 4 more sharks behind him. 14 in total. They're surrounded. Marco flees, panicked, jutting at a right angle from the sharks. A moment later, Jake tells everyone else to try to escape. The others follow Marco. Cassie instructs everyone to go into shallow water. The sharks probably won't follow them there. But the sharks do follow them. The Animorphs are once again surrounded. Jake tells everyone to fight this time. Focus on one and try to make it bleed so that the others will go into a feeding frenzy, he tells them. And so they all attack the same shark. Marco hits it so hard that he becomes momentarily stunned, and the shark does actually start to bleed. The Animorphs prepare to swim away once the sharks are distracted, but the frenzy never begins. The sharks don't react in the slightest. Instead, they close in on the kids, all moving at once. It was like they had a signal between them, Marco says. They planned. "I knew I was going to die," Marco says. And worst of all, I knew exactly how it would feel. Hey, quick question. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Horrifying.
That line specifically, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's almost like, I mean, he was in a sense. He was supposed to die in book 4 when he got bit, and it was interrupted, and now he's imagining that he's somehow returned to, like, the scene of the crime. It's just it's such a strange... Like, he's literally returning to the site of this trauma. Like, he's going to... Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of the fact that Marco sort of runs away before Jake kind of gives the first command. He's like, fuck that. He's like, I'm out of here. And he's very worried that they're judging him for several chapters, for basically the rest of the book. He's really concerned that everybody saw how he freaked out about the sharks. I'm also calling this the Nigecha Dameda arc. This is the...
Okay, all right, yes. Which, I think I understand exactly what you're saying.
They translate it as "don't run away" in Evangelion. Usually it's "don't run away," but Shinji literally repeats this phrase over and over in his mind, like it fills the screen. Literally, the subtitlers stop subtitling it because he said it so many times at this point that they're like, "You get it." Like, you get it. They're like, and I'm also calling this the beginning of his inexplicable Shinjification. Because he is just turning into Shinji for the next couple of chapters.
Shinjification of Marco.
Wow.
Okay, there's an episode title.
Hey, I like the other one too. Miranda got 2 this episode.
Well, he's going to get real Shinjified next chapter. So, or I think it's the chapter after that he gets extra. Yeah, chapter 12, he gets aggressively Shinjified. So, like.
Or as I like to call it, chapter 11 again. But the important, Eddie, do you want to hit your notes? Like, because I maybe you already said it in an earlier chapter, but like, I found this scene so detailed and so well described.
Yeah. Just like the way it escalates. Yeah. Yeah.
And just following where everything was. Like, the sharks are moving in a formation, and it was described very clearly. I felt like I knew where everybody was all the time, whereas in some fight scenes, it gets very messy.
And everyone reacts in a character-specific way for the most part. I don't know that we really get Axe in this. I kind of feel like that tracks so because Axe is also a shark, and so I think he's kind of lost in the...
Yeah, they're like not actually... They are chasing him, but like he's less in danger, sort of. Well, he's in danger, but like I think it also tracks for Axe because he has no expectations of Earth creatures' behaviors.
Right.
So, like, he doesn't... Right. So it's like Cassie responds with the sharks don't normally attack dolphins, and Rachel responds with wanting to fight because she wants to fight. But, like, they're all making a decision informed by, A, having previously fought sharks, except for Tobias and Axe, or B, knowledge of Earth creatures, which Axe does not have. So, like, it makes sense for Axe to just sort of go with the flow with this one. But damn it, Tobias got to be happy for most of a chapter swimming around, and then they just took it all away.
Yeah. We actually heard Tobias. We should have... Is that this chapter? It's all in the same chapter.
I think it's the one before, actually.
But he actually got to be happy. Like, I think he, like, laughs or something. There's something about his tone.
He's like, it's like flying, but with more pressure. Like, it's amazing. Like,
yeah. And then sharks came along. But there's something nightmarish about the way that their circumstances keep changing, and they feel like they've found the upper hand, and then they lose that advantage again. They realize they don't actually have an advantage. Like, they keep trying to reassess, and then it actually just feels like the walls are closing in on them. And they pull off that feeling really well here.
Because, like, usually their advantage is they can plan in a way that animals can't. Like, when they get attacked by just animals. Like, obviously when they get attacked by controllers, things like that. But the last time they got attacked by sharks, it was basically their ability to go to figure out that if they could get one of the sharks to start bleeding, they might be able to, like, get them off the scent and
like the Taxxon hunger in the Like Chronicles.
They could plan and work together. And then these sharks could plan and work together, and their advantage was completely stripped away. They were actually in a much worse
now imagine
scenario.
if those damn horses had been like that.
If the horses were
in
organized.
Book 14, yeah, if they had paid any fucking attention. And these aren't even sharks with yerks in them yet, as we'll learn.
Yeah.
They're just sharks that are being made smarter for someday having a yerk. But I put forth yerks are fucking bad at organizing.
I actually think they should just
for us.
deploy the sharks. Yeah, the sharks with
I
whatever
think the
this implant
weaponized
is.
sharks are perfect as they are. I don't think we need to do any.
They should throw the sharks into the desert around Area 91.
Yeah.
Chapter 11.
The hammerhead sharks close in on the gang. Jake tells everyone to bunch up and they'll wedge their way through the line of sharks. This works. That's not how I was supposed to say it.
End of description. This works.
The hammerhead sharks close in on the gang. Jake tells everyone to bunch up and they'll wedge their way through the line of sharks. This works. Marco says that they push through like one big dolphin fist. Still, the sharks follow the kids. Almost like they planned for this outcome. They were too smart. Already some of the sharks were ahead of the Animorphs, closing in once more. Suddenly, Marco has an idea born out of pure terror. He tells everyone to surface. After all, sharks can't jump. The Animorphs launch themselves from the water and land on the other side of the sharks, gaining a bit of distance on them. They try to
Echo the dolphin.
Yeah. They try to outrun the sharks, heading away from the shore into deeper water. And then a siren goes off. Just like that, the sharks flee, leaving the Animorphs all alone again. The others want to leave, but Marco voices that they should investigate the Yerk base now that the sharks are gone. He wonders if he's only doing this because he's embarrassed about fleeing before the others. They're interrupted by a submarine passing below them. Not a human submarine, but one that was stingray-shaped and almost completely transparent as if made of glass. Inside is a crew of humans, Taxxons, Ged, Hork-Bajir, and one yellow frog-like creature with an idiot grin and big green eyes.
And tentacles.
And tentacles. And beside the strange new creature was Visser One, seated in a throne, staring right back out of the submarine at Marco and the others.
So I want to know, I know this is a little meta, but Eddie, what the fuck is a human submarine?
No, I understand. Not a human-made submarine. I understood.
Yes, but
I understood. Not a human submarine. Like, you know, the ones made out of humans.
Chat, Chris.
Every time I swim, I go, I'm a human submarine.
How terrifying if the Yerks made a submarine out of humans.
As he sees, so this submarine is also like carrying his mom.
She's
like we got
in there.
She's on there. Visser One is in the sub. Like,
and do you know what? Thank God it's transparent so Marco could see her there.
Yeah, no. Otherwise, what would we do?
And just
it
also
must have been a futuristic thing, right? Like futuristic things are transparent.
Yeah. Also,
but also he had to see his mom.
And this vision of interspecies harmony that we can see that the Yerks bring all of these different aliens working together in one submarine.
They're such job creators.
Yeah.
I know. And that's what
and they
I'm
love
vote
the office
for in the next
environments on
election.
Earth.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Taxxons would never be able to press the little beep boop buttons if the Yerks hadn't come along. Like, and I don't think enough people think about that.
Oh, that's not what I'm going to vote for in the next election.
You don't
that
want
feels...
Taxxons pressing beep boop buttons?
Well, but the Taxxons are happy. I think they were pressing beep boop buttons of peace before they were.
They didn't have beep boop buttons in the living hive. They had suck tunnels.
Come on, they had something else, but it was analogous.
Chris, they might have had
the
buttons.
Beep boop buttons of peace.
They might have
turned them into beep boop buttons of war.
They might have had buttons that they wanted to make beep boop sounds, but that they were just buttons. They didn't have any kind of sound attached to them. And then when
you
the
mean
Yerks
like
came
one of those like fidget things you get your dog?
Yeah.
So it takes longer.
But now it beeps and boops, and that's something that only the Yerks could provide. So
that's
true.
Yeah, that's true. Although I'm sure Axe would tell us that Beep Boop is stolen Andalite technology.
Propaganda!
That's really funny. The one thing that we missed from this description is that Marco silently mind speaks, "Hi, Mom."
Hi, Mom. It's all he can.
To no one.
He has to hold it in because all he can think because she turns and she looks at him and he has to stop himself from thought speaking out to her. Hi, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is also true, as we'll find out in these books, she has not been reading the circulars warning of Andalite bandits. She's
aware.
She's aware, but she thinks it's an overblown issue, and she doesn't take it as seriously.
Well, she doesn't think it's her problem. It's Visser 3's problem.
There were no Andalite bandits when she was running Earth.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I do want to I want to do this, what are they called? Leeran? What are they called?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to.
Is that what they're called? What are they called?
Yeah, Leeran.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I was
you
right.
got it.
He says that sitting in the set, there was a big center chair that reminded him of Captain Kirk's chair in Star Trek. He says, standing beside the chair was a bizarre creature. It had pebbly yellowish skin that seemed slimy, like it was coated with Vaseline. It sat like a frog on big hind legs with webbed feet. But instead of a frog's tiny front legs, this creature had 4 tentacles, spaced evenly around its body. It had a big head that just sat on its shoulders with no neck. The face was curved outward with a hugely wide mouth that seemed frozen in a sort of idiot grin. There were 2 eyes, both brilliant, green, and large. What is he doing?
Yeah, what's he doing?
No,
That's cute.
What is he doing?
He's so cute.
I want to return to our
I like
earlier
him
question.
too. I think he's great.
I don't
Would
get
you
frog legs
trust-
for, like, truly aquatic creatures, though. If there's, like, no land, why do they need frog legs? He
Would you
describes
trust
them as
the
a...
Leeran?
Would I trust
Yeah.
the Leeran? Yeah. I mean,
It's kind of a Cheshire Cat thing, right? Like,
I can't keep secrets from him, so, like, what's the point?
Also, I don't keep secrets. I have a fucking podcast.
That's true.
The podcast is called All of Chris's Secrets. My oldest password is Leeran69420.
Oh, that's true. Also, they say that the Leeran shrugs in a very human-like gesture, which I think is interesting.
what are we supposed to feel about the Leeran? Is it
Sexual.
okay?
I think we're just supposed to think it looks
and I
weird.
supposed to feel about the Leeran?
I think we're supposed to think it looks weird.
Is it supposed to be scary?
Yeah, no, but cute, kind of. I think Buddha-like, maybe. There's a
what?
composure. There's a composure to the
don't know about the
Leeran.
Buddha-like, yeah.
No, Buddha-like is not the right phrase.
In manner,
Cut that.
perhaps.
Let me take it. Let me take that back. I think maybe he's supposed to look wisdomful in a weird way. Like there's a
I see that.
monkishness.
Like,
there's a boy, like he looks weird and wacky and silly, but
then
he's
he's
not
got-
also just directly terrifying.
and he's
not
got
a hammerhead shark.
those huge eyes. And we know
Brilliant
he's
green.
psychic, so it's like he can like look into your soul. You know what?
okay.
I'm picturing like a Drowzee without the floppy nose
Yes,
and
Are
with
you
exactly.
tentacles and all
Exactly.
yellow.
picturing
a frog Drowzee.
Mr. Mime?
No.
No, we're
Not at all.
picturing a Drowzee. We just fucking
Whenever
told you.
possible, and I need this to be clear, whenever possible, I do not picture Mr. Mime.
Agreed, 100%.
I avoid that
100%.
at all costs.
That's not a Pokemon. That is just some
He
liberal
moves
arts
in.
college dropout.
He moves
That is
in with
just
Ash's
like-
mom and just does her household chores.
Yeah, that guy is a freak.
In a kind of seductive way. He has no.
I don't know. but
Ow.
I like that you're trying to yes and my finding of Frog Boy fun, but
I'm not saying frog boys can't be sexual. I'm
No, but
saying
when Eddie's
Mr. Mime
talking
is
about
not
his
a frog
awful.
boy.
Yeah.
Why is Drowzee? And I know this.
We've all seen Greninja, okay? We all know about
Greninja's
that.
hot. Yeah.
Why does Drowzee always pose like he's he's drunk at a concert.
He's falling asleep.
He's fucking drunk at a concert. He's at a fucking Creed show. And they're like, with the arms wide open. And he's like, oh my God.
He's falling asleep. And he's trying to hit. You're thinking of the classic N64 Pokemon Stadium 1 mini game where you have to click in rhythm with the
fall asleep, and you battle.
Against the pendulum. And they sort of like have their arms out like this.
Yep.
And yes, so that's exactly what you're picturing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
I just
always
searched
do
for him
that.
on Google, and it was what came up. So,
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon.